A crazy CPI day in the market. We actually had a major gap down off of a bunch of puts coming in after hours yesterday. We saw over $28 million worth of out the money puts come in after hours on our Tuesday, and we had a major gap down, which resulted in them profiting a ton yet again. So big money did win, and not only did big money win, also in our free Discord, I did share out a low of day call out, which was at 3,760 on SPX, which happened to be the exact low of day, like to the tick, which is right under 375 here for SPY, which is the chart we're on right now, and it rallied straight up off of that. I did trim a lot and told you guys in the chat that I trimmed on this first purple line, which actually coincides all the way back to our previous pivot, which was the low of year at 362 on SPY. If you drag it across, there's two major ones, which I'll explain here in a second. But the first one, drag it across to the low over here, and it will make a the other part of the pivot up here, which acted as a key resistance and also the gap down area that we had today. So we gapped down below this today, and it went back up and retested it for the first time, which is where I trimmed, and then I held the rest of the half of them, and it actually looked like here, this is actually a big bull fake out because it had a major candle, 15-minute candle, two of them actually, above this resistance here, but then fell below afterwards, which was a big fake out because typically these continue upwards until the next resistance. So this was a fake out here, and I continue to hold my calls as I still have them right now. But it is very important for the bulls to get it back above this level, especially by the end of this week on the weekly candle. The reason I say that is because in order for us to actually make a intermediate low that can actually have us rally all the way up until maybe even 4,000 by the end of August, maybe 4,100, which may sound crazy to you guys. I'll explain in a second here. But in order for us to get up to there, we do have to make a low very, very soon that is a very large pivot point. And what I mean by that is we need to make sure that we can get back above both of these resistances. So you're going to want to chart them on your own charts because these are very, very key ones. These two purple lines here, we need to first get above this one, hold it, unlike we did today where we fell below, and then especially get over this one over here because this is the one that actually started off this kind of sell-off that we've had. Once we went down below here and had a daily close below this level, that continued downwards and had a lot more sell pressure. So once we can get back above this level, then we can continue up, and actually it may start to rally off of this level. If we get back up above here, this purple line, which the price is arbitrary for right now because as time goes on, price is going to increase because of the angle of the line here. But once we get back above this, the next target, we'll have a few resistances along the way, but the next key target will be my orange line, which is that key line. I'll go to the daily here for you guys. That key line that I've talked about in numerous videos, which if you're not subscribed yet, do so below. It's free. But that's the 2009 low, which I'll just scroll back here really quick. It goes all the way back to 2009 during that recession pivot. So yeah, right here, that one, and then it goes across and predicted the 2018 correction, which is over here, and then also the 2020 COVID crash off of that line. So that is going to be the next key resistance if we can get the bulls to start a rally up. But first, we need to get back above both of those purple lines. So do draw those on your charts. They're going to help a ton for you guys. And again, in terms of my bias, which obviously it doesn't have to always happen that way, the way that I'm predicting it. However, my bias tends to be right the majority of the time, I've noticed. So you could take this as an indicator if you want. I actually believe we made a low today in the market. So again, could we make a new low going forward? Yes, by all means. We have VIX-piration. The day after VIX-piration is tomorrow. VIX-piration was today, and that has a very, very wide range. We normally see up to 100 or even 150 point ranges on the daily candle the day after VIX-piration, which is a large range. That is day trader paradise. So I will be majority day trading tomorrow with some swings that I'm still holding right now in terms of calls. But also Friday is Opex, and we have a pretty large option expiration on that day market wide. So there's some days that could have a lot of volatility. However, I still believe that right now, this level that I was able to nail today will be the bottom up until like around 3,900 that we can reach, maybe even higher if it wants to go there. But for the most part, I believe this will be a key pivot for us going forward. Again, if we continue to fall down, I'd say the last zone would be around like 373 roughly. Other than that, I may have to change my thesis, which I'd tell you guys on Sunday. But for now, in terms of the daily candle, if we can get it to hold above these levels and above this key pivot right here above 375, then we're going to be golden going forward. Last thing I want to talk about here today, we did have quite a bit of dark pool prints in terms of relative volume for right now. Now, 1.2 billion in terms of signature prints isn't much in terms of the last year. We were seeing some that were up to like 5 billion, 6 billion, even 10 billion some days, which tended to be a precursor to a very large move after, and most of those were sells, so a big pivot top that acted as a heavy resistance. But in terms of right now, we haven't been seeing that much volume in the dark pools, so anything over a billion is still quite a bit and is a lot relative to what we've been seeing lately. So 1.2 billion worth of premium at that 380.70 level. So we did close below it. However, I do believe we'll get back above this within the next week or so. So there is a possibility that they were buying around these levels. We saw some also a little bit lower around like 375 earlier last week. So that's another key level to look at. But going forward, as of now, you're going to want to start looking for dark pool accumulation around these levels, because people are going to start buying shares in the dark pools to be able to take trades that could be I don't even know, it could be like a long for the next like 4 weeks or so off of those shares, which you've seen happen in the past. And the dark pools can be a good indicator on an intermediate top and bottom in the market. So I like what we're seeing right now in terms of possible accumulation around these levels, and I'm going to continue to look at here going forward. One last thing I want to talk about is the sheer amount of SPY put flow that we have been seeing. This is a very good indicator of the current trend. However, it is key to note that going forward, we do have to look especially for these highlighted prints. These are the prints that are above the ask. Cheddar flow and the application will highlight these in yellow if they are above the ask, as you can see here in the order details. And you're going to want to look at some of these, especially the far out of the money ones, because they have been nailing them, honestly, with the majority of times, literally this entire year of 2022. So these have been kind of trend setting as of now. Now, are they always right? I'm sure there's a few times where they've been wrong this year, but again, like I said, majority of the time they have been right. So these are key to look at going forward, and especially going into the next 2 days, which are pretty big days, especially with what I said about tomorrow having a wide range and Friday being Opex. You're going to want to look at these to kind of get a sense on where the trend can go, not only this week, but also next week after Opex finishes. So continue to look for these yellow prints on the application. If you don't have the application, we have a free 7-day trial, which you can click below and try that out. Like, it's literally free, so no reason not to try that. And you can kind of look for these especially. And I filter, like I said, above 1 million in premium. Actually, most of the time I'll do 500K in premium, but you could just play around with it and get a sense for yourself kind of how it works. But other than that, these are key levels to look for. Like I said, this is a key pivot level that we just kind of crossed right now, made a low on. So you're going to want to make sure that we stay above here if you are a bull. Otherwise, there could be a little bit more downside, but I believe we are in the range of a low as of now that could rally off of. And one more thing with that, a lot of people are talking about all the macro data that is very, very bearish right now in the market. I personally don't care about that in terms of trading. I trade price action. I've tried to explain it to you guys on the chat numerous times. I am aware that there's a lot of bearish scenarios in the world right now. Not a lot of things are going well. People are talking about recession and everything. I personally trade price action. A lot of people were shorting around the open today, and I went long off of the exact low of day. I know my levels, I know my risk reward, and that's my setup, and that's what I'll go with. I drown out the noise that 9.1%, we had the 9.1% inflation rate that came through a CPI report today. It didn't really matter to me. I'm trading based off of price action, and you have to remember, most of big money knows what the prints are going to be. They know what the news is going to be before it actually happens. Retail is always behind, so you're going to want to just understand price action, and there may be things that are getting priced in beforehand because big money knows about it. So that's one thing to note as well. But other than that, trade by price action. You can use me as an indicator if you want in terms of my bias, and also you can use Cheddar Flow as an indicator in terms of what big money is doing. But other than that, appreciate you guys watching today, and I'll see you guys next time.